Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Friday, October 24th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and we got our guy, Matt Robinson, back in the house, and he'll be on with us Fridays this year, not Thursdays. So he'll be Tuesdays and Fridays for Matt with us on the show next week and moving forward. So good to have Matt with us. It's an exciting day. We got the Ticat golf shirt on. We're rocking it because it's the final home game for my Hamilton Tiger Cats in the CFL regular season tonight. I'll be down at the stadium for that, and they will be showing Game 1 of the World Series, Dodgers-Blue Jays, on the video scoreboard in the stadium during the Ticats game and after it. They said they're basically going to show it with sound down, obviously, while the Ticats game's going on. But then when the Ticats game's over, they'll keep showing it, but they'll turn the sound up on the baseball game. So it's going to be, obviously, that'll be fun. Looking forward to that. So it'll be a fun night coming up. So as a result, got a lot of things to do, places to go. As far as yours truly, so we'll keep the show at a brisk pace today. It's a good thing there's only 4 games on the NHL card tonight. But I try to say something on every game. I'm, for sake of brevity and time constraints, I'm just going to pick a couple that stuck out to me. Islanders overs and death taxes and Islanders overs. I mean, that's all you can say right now. They've still gone over in every game this season, 7-2 thumping over the Detroit Red Wings last night. And say what, they're scoring goals right now. Their offense has been good. Matthew Schaefer's been a revelation. So big win there for the Islanders there, 7-2 over Detroit. And hey, that's Cam Talbot sometimes. You know, he had those great performances against Toronto, and then he gets lit up like a Christmas tree in October last night against the New York Islanders. What a win for Alex B. Smith's Chicago Blackhawks last night. Great job, 3-2. Spencer Knight was great again. Gave him a chance. Tampa did put on a good push in the third period, but good saves. I think their team defensive game is improving, getting better for this young group. You're seeing Connor Bedard get bloodied up and say, I don't want to come off the ice. You got to love that kind of mentality. And then just a terrific game winner for Ryan Donato. Donato's Pizza with a great game, 2 goals. Terrible rebound control, though, by Vasilevsky. That's the kind of stuff he does not do when he's in his top form and he's on his game. And he has not had, the best start to the year. So nice win there for Chicago, 3-2. What else took out? Anaheim Boston was a shit show. It was like hockey on meth or something, or hockey on drugs or something. But it was just absolutely crazy to see that game. 7-5 Anaheim in that one. You could tell it was Mrazek and versus Korpisalo matchup. That was not J.S. Shiger and Jerry Cheevers in that game for the 2 of the greats, of course, for each team from the past. But crazy game. I'll take it. That was a great game for yours truly. First period over, full game over, Anaheim money line, Anaheim team total over. Can't ask for better than that. 7-5, great result there. Ducks are a better team. That found ways to win. What a great timeout by Q. Joel Quenneville, that crazy 5-3, all of a sudden, bang, 2 goals, 5-5. Maybe Anaheim panicking a little bit, but no, Joel Quenneville takes the temperature of his team, calls that timeout, and they score right after that. Troy Terry to give them that 6-5 lead, and it settled everything right back down again. Sharks' first win of the season in overtime against the Rangers, so Ryan Warsofsky's kids are safe now with that Sharks 6-5 win in overtime. First win of the year. But man, I mean, they needed one desperately, and that's probably a real bad look for the Rangers. Pittsburgh doesn't know they're bad yet. How about that win? 5-3 against Florida. 6-2, the Pittsburgh Penguins now. Like I said, this is kind of what they did last year. They got off to a pretty good start in October, and you pump the brakes to fade Pittsburgh. Now's not the time to do it. Probably later on there'll be an opportunity to do that, but right now they're exceeding expectations early on. Give the Seattle Kraken credit, too. Brutal spot. 6th road game in 10 nights, end of that trip, and you go to Winnipeg and you shut out the Jets 3-0. Great job by Seattle, and a much-needed win after a really struggle and rough road trip it had been for them. Nashville beats Vancouver 2-1. Another rough night for Joel Hofer last night. Utah, 7th spot on the board. They beat the Blues 7-4. Dallas's struggles continue, 3-2 Kings in overtime. Kempe with the horns down, not realizing that, hey, just because this game's in Dallas in the state of Texas, not everyone's a Longhorns fan. Not everyone's a Texas Longhorns fan, but still ended up doing that gesture after that. Pretty cool. I know they asked him, Butchegras, how does a guy from Sweden know to do that? But nevertheless, 3-2 win for LA there in overtime. Crazy game, Edmonton, Montreal, 6-5. What a comeback by Edmonton. Sketchy officiating. Anderson got a crazy penalty for just, shooting the puck in frustration, which is crazy. I've never seen that. You got to give a guy a break. You shouldn't be giving penalties for that. I see it all the time. That was kind of a screw job there to Montreal a little bit, but nevertheless, you got to protect the lead, and you need a save from Montembeault, and he couldn't give you one. And Edmonton gets the 6-5 win, and the Montembeault struggles continue, man. And I think we're going to continue to see more Jakub Dobeš. And then a very entertaining game, Carolina 5, Colorado 4 in a shootout. What a gutsy win for Carolina. Anderson was terrific. 40-plus shots he faced. 3 starting defensemen out with Slavin out, Miller out, Gostisbehere out, and still found a way to win that hockey game. The game was terrific. It looked like a Stanley Cup final preview or potential preview because both of those teams clearly could get there. But Carolina's injuries are mounting, and it's concerning. And they may not get any of these defensemen back, according to Rod Brindamore, after the game anytime soon. So that's very concerning. But Carolina made me look good last night with picking them to win the Stanley Cup. They've still only lost the one game, but the injuries are a concern. And I don't know what was more entertaining, watching that game or enjoyable, watching that game, Alex, or watching those beautiful throwback retro jerseys. Man, those were beautiful.
Yeah.
Whaler, Quebec Nordique jerseys, man. I could see those jerseys night in and night out.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Altitude Sports Network, the Avs broadcaster for TV and radio, not only having Hartford and Quebec listed as the team names, but even on the radio call, they were calling them Hartford and Quebec all night long. And I thought that was just super fucking cool. For us, those of us old enough to remember,
it's an old Adams division battle, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. For those of us old enough to remember, at least for us, for me, at the end of it, but certainly that was just a great piece of nostalgia and just hockey history in general. I'd love to see more of that. I'd love to see kind of how like the NFL adapts that, where put those throwback uniforms against each other on for different nights, like Hawks Wings, any of the original 6 teams. That would be something just cool to do. Just bring some of those old jerseys back into rotation and just have that nostalgic historic feel. And it's funny because they were talking about it through the broadcast too, about I said, you wear your alternate jerseys, it's not that big of a deal, but when you do something special like this, it gets the whole room jazzed up. And that's what they were saying on the Avs pregame show. And sure enough, the action looked like both teams were full of energy. Like I said, that game was high octane. So anything that adds to, like I said, this is still entertainment at the end of the day, and anything that adds to entertainment value certainly can boost up and sometimes give an extra boost to the players on the ice as well. When you look good, you feel good, as Deion Sanders once said. But it was a wonderful night of action, a lot of goals, which we love. We love our good, solid defense as well too.
That's why I had a huge profitable night, probably.
As did I. Over by Factus cashing in, both teams to score cashing. San Jose getting their first win of the year, scoring the first goal of the game. I had first goal, first period, plus 180.
Yeah, great call by both of us. I was on San Jose goal in the first period, and I'm on it again tonight. I'll just give it away right now. I'm on it again tonight.
Yeah, just a wonderful game, and those are the games they have to win, right? Like, they're not going to win pretty games. They're going to have to muck it up and get into these dog fights and these boat races and find ways to get victories. That's how a young team goes along and grows about, especially having such a rough streak to start the year and ending last year. That's a solid win for them. But there's some veteran teams like the Rangers and Tampa Bay that just look bad. Now the Hawks played their ass off, okay, and I'm thrilled with how great the Hawks look. But the biggest takeaway from that game is that Tampa Bay is a mess, and I don't know where this is going to straighten out. And I said it, breaking down the game yesterday. This is the time where Tampa Bay is supposed to be earning points and getting victories, especially when you see Florida kind of struggling, when you see Toronto just kind of floating around but not looking like their superpower selves. This is the moment of opportunity. This is about as wide open as the Atlantic has looked in the last 2-3 years right now. And of course, it's still early October. But my point is, this is the time where you should be playing your best hockey, and they seem to be playing their worst hockey I've seen in a long time. And like I said, even when they're getting contributions from Kucherov back in the lineup, he looks good. But like I said, you got Vasilevsky with uncharacteristically bad rebounds and not making saves that he normally does, and that's just problematic. And the depth, the bottom six depth is not nearly as good as people thought it was on the squad, and the Hawks exploited that. Late, and the Hawks, like I said, barreling down defensively. That's what's been really impressive with this team. Not just Spencer Knight playing well in goal, which we knew he would, being a good goaltender, but to have those blue liners and the forwards, like you said, roughing it up. Connor Bedard still not taking shit. Like you said, all right, high stick me, cut me open, but I'm getting back on the ice. Showing that kind of fight, showing that kind of fever. That's what's needed, and it's a good sign so far.
Yeah, no doubt. It is a good sign. You're right. Lots of concerns about the Hawks. Aaron's spot on. Vasilevsky, and the bottom six is an excellent point. We're a long ways away from the Coleman, Gord, and third line from years ago with Tampa Bay that was just dynamite. It was like the Lundell, Lusterine, and Marchand line for Florida last year in the playoffs for the Panthers.
Tyler Johnson's not walking through that door.
Yeah, no doubt. Good Barclay Goodrow. That was the other part of that line. Goodrow, Gord, and Coleman. That was a great third line for them in the playoffs 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Tampa Bay. They don't have that kind of third line anymore. They just don't. They're not getting enough from the bottom six right now. No question about that. And one last thing about Carolina, Trip Tracy, man, such an underrated analyst, because I listened to a good chunk of that game, watched a good chunk of that game with the Carolina broadcast. He's good enough to do national games. He never has, but he's good enough to do national games as far as I'm concerned. Matt, I know Ryan, your brother, a little pissed off with you, the Dallas Stars last night. We got to remind him it is October. It's a long season ahead, and as long as Dallas gets in the playoffs, it's all that matters is April and beyond what they do. But nevertheless, you don't love seeing the way things are going for the Stars, but I'm sure you'll talk about them. Then what else stuck out to you from last night?
Yeah, I'll kind of start at the beginning, and then Dallas was obviously one of the later games last night. But as you guys mentioned, great night. A lot of overs. Of my 3 premium picks, I went 2-1. 2 of which were overplays. Detroit and Islanders, obviously a no sweat. The over that in that one was 5.5 when I jumped in and got to 9. And then I had your best bet yesterday, Ian, was also what probably would have been my best bet, and it's Avs Canes. I mean, you've got 2 firepower offenses. You've got injury issues on the Canes side of things. The Avs started out really strong defensively this year. Wedgwood was playing well. And it's not to say he's not anymore, but, there's very good upside offensively with the Avs D-core, but there is gaps at times with the depth as far as, keeping the puck out of your net. And I talked about it at the beginning of the season. Wedgwood is arguably, a top 1 or 2 backup in the NHL. But historically, that's been his role as he comes in, 18, 20 games on a high end. So it was going to be interesting to see him play night in and night out while Blackwood's out. So, I figured the floodgates would open a little bit on the defensive side, but, especially the Avs at home, they're always capable of pocketing 3 or 4. So I actually jumped in on that one at 5.5, and, with the overtime, it got to 9 as well. So those were good games. Good games as far as overs go. I don't know if I'd say the Islanders Detroit was a good game. It was a pretty dominant game by one side. I was a little bit shocked at how dominant, but the streak continues and it'll continue into. I'll get into. I think at the end of the show, I'm going to mention my best bet and bargain bet for tomorrow's big card, just because we've got a small one tonight, and the Islanders are involved in that as well. So good to see San Jose, get their first dub. Me living out here in Reno, a lot of my friends are Sharks fans naturally because they grew up in this area. And, San Jose, prior to Vegas moving to Nevada, San Jose is and still is closer than Vegas is. San Jose is 3.5 hours. Vegas is like an 8-hour drive.
That's a nice little fact. I didn't know that. A lot of Shark fans out there in the Reno, Tahoe area.
Yeah. And just naturally, Reno, there's a lot of Bay Area folks in general as well. So, you mix those two, you get a lot of Sharks fans. So they obviously know what they're working with. None of them have very high expectations or anything like that. But they are, they were excited to see Celebrini get a hat trick at MSG, something he'll probably always remember, getting the win. It was good to see. Obviously, a lot of question marks for the Rangers. Which leads right into Dallas. As you mentioned, Ryan was pretty upset last night. I still think it's too early, and just given, Matt Duchene being out the last few games, that hurts their offense quite a bit. He's had his playoff struggles the last couple of years as far as, how many points he's getting and things like that. He has had some big goals in both the last two playoff runs. But, him being out, he was the regular season leading scorer. I don't foreshadow him doing that again this year, even if he had played all 82 games. I think Mikko Rantanen might have a say in that, as well as, guys like Robo that are trying to make the U.S. team and things of that nature. But he is a piece. The one thing I will say about Dallas that has been, nice to see, they haven't exactly scored on every power play, but they've dominated every power play. It's sat in the zone for the full 2 minutes. They've created chances, even in these bad games. The Columbus game, definitely of note. Their power play looked great. It's, and it's early in the year. It's a new system. There's a couple changes to that top unit. Miro was out for a lot of last year. So, getting guys gelling, that's going to take time. But if that power play does kind of catch fire, it's going to be scary and kind of hard to defend for opposing teams, because it's just, there's 5 potential all-stars on any given season on that PP1. So that's the good sign. Obviously don't like to see him lose 4 in a row. I did look historically, their starts to the year since Golitzin was there in 11-13. He actually had the best start they've had in the last 12 years, which is kind of crazy. I think they were 7-3 his last year in Dallas, and through Pete DeBoer, Hitchcock. They've kind of bounced around coaches there in between. They've been like 5-5, 4-6. So it's not uncommon. And I think I heard another radio show talking about it, but it's interesting that, you've got the Oilers kind of just staying afloat. You've got Florida, obviously has some major injuries, but, just kind of middle of the pack right now. So I don't think it's uncommon. I mean, you've got Detroit's 5-3, Pittsburgh, as you mentioned, I think off to 6-2, I think you mentioned, so there's teams that are doing well to start the year. And then there's teams that are kind of just sticking around. And I think, if you told me Dallas would be 3-3 through 6, I would have taken it. And I'm shocked at how they got to 3-3. Winning in Winnipeg, winning in Colorado on the road to start the year was pretty surprising. But, I think if we're 20 games into the season and we're seeing similar play where they can't put, 3 periods of solid play together, then it's maybe a little more concerning than right now. I have not been betting on Dallas. I did have the first period and full game over in that Columbus game. I didn't have anything last night. It's definitely a wait and see time. And that's sort of a trend amongst the NHL. Right now the Islanders are an over team. It's almost automatic, but in 40 games, we'll see if that kind of continues. So
no, there'll be regression, but you just ride the wave until it stops or until it comes back down to earth. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, there was, to be honest, totals were great last night. I think everything was profitable from that front. There was only like one game that I had the over, I think in the Flyers Senators game that, ended 2-1. The sides, on the other hand, were kind of surprising. I felt pretty good about the Canucks. I felt pretty good about Winnipeg winning at home. There was a lot of teams, you expect Florida to win that game at home. You expect Tampa to win that game at home. So, there was a lot of sides, interesting factors, but overall, even the Blues, I think, Ian, you mentioned it on the show. You were pretty high on the Blues last night. Utah goes into St. Louis and drops 7. So, that's pretty surprising. Like the Carolina Avs game was a toss-up, in my opinion. That wasn't shocking to see Carolina get that win, but there was definitely some surprises. So, overall, profitable night because, again, as you guys know and as you guys tail a lot, big totals guy. So a lot of first period. I think of those early games, 4 of the 5 first periods hit, and I had two game parlays going. So right off the bat, two like plus 260 parlays hit. So good stuff to start, and hopefully that continues into the short card tonight, and another big Saturday tomorrow.
Yeah, no doubt. Looking forward to 13 games, by the way, tomorrow. So, and we might have your brother Ryan with us tomorrow on the Saturday show. So that'll be a big show tomorrow at noon. 13 games on Saturday. We are going to get Matt's thoughts, a couple thoughts from him on the Saturday card before we end today's show, since he doesn't join us on Saturday. So we'll do that later on in the show today. Just another programming reminder: we're good for the weekend. Regular shows Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern, but no show on Monday, okay? No show on Monday. We'll do the Monday games on Sunday's show. And then Tuesday's show, which is the day of our Frozen Frenzy live betcast at night, we will be at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time, Tuesday, for the Ice Guys show in the afternoon. And then the betcast will start at 6 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday night. I'm going to have to make room on one of my screens on the betcast, though, for the World Series, because that's going to be game 4 of the World Series on Tuesday night. Blue Jays Dodgers. So we'll keep you up to date on that too, for any of you that are locked in and tuned into the Jays right now on the betcast coming up Tuesday night. So we're looking forward to that. Our first live betcast of the season on Frozen Frenzy night on Tuesday. That'll be a lot of fun for sure. All right, our Friday card begins with Washington and Columbus. We've got Washington minus 115 road favorites, 6 the total in this game. You look at the Capitals, and they've played pretty good start to the year, 5-2, no complaints. They won their first. They lost their first game against Boston. Then they won 4 in a row against the Islanders, Rangers, Lightning, and Wild. They lose to Vancouver 4-3, dug themselves an early deficit and hole, but they came back and almost tied it, but fell short 4-3. And then they bounced back with a pretty thorough 4-1 win against Seattle, outshot the Kraken 34-19. So they look like a really good team once again here, the Capitals. But I'm going to poke holes in one thing about their 5-2 start. You look at that schedule, and Bruins, not great. Islanders, they've actually started to score goals, but not the best opponent. Rangers have been struggling. Tampa Bay, I know that's a nice win, but Tampa's not been the same team to begin this year. Minnesota, when they were struggling. Vancouver up and down, and Seattle. So, like I said, it's been a nice, friendly schedule. I would argue the strength of schedule hasn't been that strong so far for Washington. Now they're going to have to go on the road and face a Columbus team that's playing with some confidence, so far. They had the tough losses to Colorado and New Jersey, 2 of the teams that are right there as top teams so far in the NHL to begin the season. They beat Minnesota on the road. They beat Tampa at home 3-2. Dominant win against Dallas 5-1 the other night for this Columbus team, playing well. And they're going to have the guy that I think is their best goalie and their best option right now in net for them tonight, and that is Jet Jet Greaves for the Columbus Blue Jackets, going to be in net for them tonight. And by the way, Paul McCartney's coming to Hamilton. His first show at the brand new arena that's the refurbished TD Coliseum is going to be in
plenty
November.
of tickets are available. He couldn't sell out in Minneapolis. So
yeah, Paul. It got sold out. It was quickly sold out with him here. So I'm sure he'll do that song from Paul McCartney and Wings days. But that's another story. But Jet Greaves for Columbus, Logan Thompson in net for Washington. Columbus is playing well. If you worry that after a big win against Dallas they fall flat here, maybe. But I like Columbus at this price. I really do. Even money minus 105. I'll take Columbus here. I think they can find a way to get this win here tonight. One thing I've noticed too about the Jackets is playing a little bit better at the defensive end. We know the Capitals can play good defense, so I'm not so sure this is one of those games that goes over. We saw a lot of overs last night. I'm kind of on the fence with this total. Could see it going either way, but I am on Columbus here, minus 105. I like it here at this price to get the job done. One thing about Washington, you feasted on home ice. You feasted against some weaker opponents. Now you're playing a Columbus team with some confidence, and now you're going on the road. So as much as I like the way the Capitals have played, I think this will be a good challenge for them, the way this Columbus team is playing at the moment. So Jackets for me. Alex, what do you think? Washington, Columbus.
Yep. Keeping it simple. Yeah, going with the Jackets on the money line, minus $1.05. Like I said, we like Jet Greaves. We feel like these are the spots to back Columbus at home. Friday night, where Friday games get kind of weird. We've said that in the chat for the last couple seasons. Fridays, what's up is down sometimes on Fridays. And while Washington seems like the better team long term, this spot just screams Columbus to me. And at this price, getting Greaves at this price, I don't think there's going to be too many times we're going to get Greaves at this price at some point. I think once he gets hot and gets on a roll, he's going to be the guy with a minus next to his name, and it's going to be Merzlikins with a plus next to his name more often than not. So give me the Jackets here.
All right, there we go. Matt, anything you like here? Caps, Jackets.
Yeah, this is an interesting one for me. I do lean Columbus. I might split it up. I'm seeing the natural team total at 2.5 minus 175, so not a lot of value there. But I might bump it up to 3. I think it's like minus 115 on MGM, and just take Jackets and Columbus team total. With that being said, I don't love the over in this one. I think both goaltenders are pretty solid. I think we could see a first period over and then things kind of settle in. But I do think whoever wins this game gets to 3 goals. I could see like a 3-1 finish here. So I'll be on Columbus and the team total over 3. But pretty light because this wouldn't shock me if Washington went into Columbus and got it done. It's kind of a light lean for me here with Columbus.
A couple I'm on 3 player props here to score a goal tonight, and all 3 have scored goals in back-to-back games. We're getting good prices with a couple of them. One of them being actually all 3 of them are good prices. Kent Johnson, Columbus has scored in back-to-back games, plus 320. Ryan Leonard, we know this is going to be a guy that could be one hell of a player at the NHL level for Washington. Slow start last year when he got the call up for the playoffs, but boy, he's starting to get comfortable. He's now found the back of the net in back-to-back games for the Capitals. So Ryan Leonard, I think, is a good goal prop. And how about from the blue line? Jacob Chikrin for the Capitals, back-to-back games with a goal for him. And you can get him in that plus 600 or so range as far as finding the back of the net. And I also dabbled in Adam Fantilli here, plus 280. He scored last game for the Blue Jackets. So those are a couple of props, though, that I'm interested in there for that one. All right, San Jose, New Jersey. New Jersey minus 360 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. I mean, the Sharks team, you talk about a track meet team. It's essentially what the San Jose Sharks have been for the most part this year. We see the way they've struggled in their own end, giving up 5, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 4 in the games so far, but they finally get off the schneid and beat the Rangers 6-5 in overtime for their first win of the season last night. Back-to-back now for them. We'll see if they can, refill the gas tank quickly and be ready for this game. Again, the travel is minimal. The nice thing about these Ranger Devils back-to-backs when you play them, it's not that big of a deal. San Jose giving up 4.8 goals per game, close to 5 goals per game allowed this season for the San Jose Sharks. So they have just obviously had their issues defensively, and you'd expect that. You look at this blue line, it's terrible. And they won in spite of it last. I like Mario Ferraro. I wouldn't take any of these other guys to be on my blue line if I was putting a defense score together. I wouldn't have Desharnais, Vincent Iorio, Orlov, who's kind of over the hill at this stage of his career, Dickinson, and Timothy Liljegren. I'm not taking any of those guys on my blue line. It's that simple. Not to mention you're without a couple key cogs. Klingberg's out. Ellis is on IR. Shakir Makhmadulin's out. Nick Leddy's out. So, like I said, it's just not a good blue line, and it's putting these poor goalies. Now, they got to be better, too. Askarov and Nedeljkovic aren't exactly Evgeny Nabokov in his prime right now for this San Jose Sharks team, but you do need them to be a little bit better than they've been, and they really haven't been. Askarov, we're still waiting for Askarov to have, his big coming out party here at the NHL level, and we haven't seen it yet. He'll be in net tonight for the Sharks. Jake Allen in net for New Jersey. New Jersey's just been a machine. You got to give Sheldon Keefe credit. His team is playing some great hockey. 6 straight wins, lighting it up, 3 goals or more in every win. They have averaged 4 goals per game this season, and defensively they have really tightened things up. 2 goals or less that they have allowed in 4 of their last 5 wins. That being said, if you look back in the recent history, San Jose has played New Jersey tough. They've won it not just once, but a couple of times in the last 3 visits to New Jersey. I don't know if I trust them to win on a back-to-back after getting, sometimes you don't want to bet the bad team or the lesser team off a win. I say that all the time. You exhale, you celebrate a little bit more when you do get those wins. So as tempting as it might be, to take San Jose plus 310, I'm not sure I'll go that far, but I'll take them to score in the first period again, because I do think they will get some momentum. They'll pep in their step when they take the ice for this game, coming off their first win, and then maybe peter out, as the game goes on, with this being a back-to-back spot. So I like San Jose minus 106, guys. That's the price. It's a very cheap price. Minus 106 for San Jose to get a goal in the first period. I'm going to rock it again tonight, like last night against the New York Rangers. And you could go one step further, maybe take San Jose to get the first goal. You could do that as well. But I'm going to play it safe. San Jose goal in the first period. And I'm on the over by Fecta here as well. Over 1.5 first period. Over 6, -120 is what I got. 6.5, I'm cool with it. These San Jose games have really trended over. Now, New Jersey's put up the stop sign defensively so far. That's the one concern. What if Allen plays well? What if the Devils keep playing this strong brand of defensive hockey? Their penalty kill's been excellent, and maybe that shuts down the San Jose power play. But I could see this being a spot for New Jersey to let up defensively tonight because Minnesota, Toronto, Edmonton, Florida, they've run this gauntlet of very good opponents, and this could be the night maybe they're a little looser at the defensive end, at the back end, with San Jose coming in. So I still like it. Over by Fecta, San Jose goal in the first period as well. Alex, what do you think here? Sharks, Devils?
Yeah, like I said, running back what we did last night. So I'll be on San Jose to score in the first period. Like I say -106, -108, so shop around. And also first goal of first period, +220 for that price at FanDuel. So that's fantastic. Those are 2 plays I got. Just looking for a goal from the Sharks early, and then maybe look for that over by Fecta in game. More than likely be looking for that, like I said, full game over in game. If I can get a 6, maybe a 6 at a plus price, maybe it takes about 5 or 10 minutes for a goal to come in that first period, then San Jose scoring would definitely help that cause, because we know New Jersey, like I said, for as defensive as they've played, they'll need to press more offensively, being down and behind. So that's going to be definitely the look. More so for a full game over in game. But I am on Sharks to get a goal in the first period and first goal of first period.
All right, there you go. Good stuff. Matt, how about you here? San Jose, New Jersey.
Yeah, as tempting as +310 is, anytime I see a bargain bin side, I usually consider taking a shot. But coming off the win last night, I don't love it. I do think San Jose will chip into this game. So I'm big on the over by Fecta. I actually got in at 6 on the over. And then I did a same game parlay of 1.5, 5.5 for a little bit of a plus money price. I could even make an argument. I don't know if I'll take it for both teams to score in the first. This seems like one of those games. San Jose will score. New Jersey will settle in a bit, knowing they're at home, knowing they're playing an inferior team, and then maybe pop 1 or 2 before the end of the period. I definitely wouldn't be shocked at that. But yeah, pretty simple. Just over by Fecta for me.
And then a couple props here for me. Yeah, Devils next 4 games, Colorado twice after this, and then they play San Jose again, which obviously would be in San Jose. So it's a weird schedule coming up for the New Jersey Devils, no question. Palat point, says Rich H, liking that for a point prop here. I got a couple goal props in this game, a couple players that have scored in multiple games. I'm going with the Russian kid playing well for New Jersey, Arseny Gritsyuk, for them, at +360. Good price right there with him. He scored the last game, scored in over half their games so far this year. Celebrini's scored in back-to-back, +270. And here's I was wondering if this was just a one-year wonder with this guy who's just out of the minors, ends up in Ottawa, has this career year offensively, and has that red-hot start to the year. And now he's here in San Jose, and he's scored in back-to-back games now for them. Adam Gaudette. Remember this guy? He got off to this crazy hot start last year. Well, he's scored in back-to-back games now for the Sharks, like he did in Ottawa last year, having a good month of October, plus, in that +700 range as far as finding the back of the net. So, like I said, I think it's worth a shot there with Adam Gaudette with the back-to-back games with a goal for him. And what a price you're getting, too, in that 700 or better price. For him to find the back of the net here tonight. All right, Toronto, Buffalo. We've got the Leafs -125, road favorites, 6 the total. Speaking of 6, what a night it's going to be in the 6, also known as Toronto. You've got the Leafs playing in Buffalo against the Sabres. You got the Toronto Raptors in the NBA playing their home opener against the Milwaukee Bucks. And, of course, Toronto Blue Jays, Game 1 of the World Series, hosting the LA Dodgers. So quite the sports night for the city. And yet the Leafs are the ones that are playing the worst of all of them. The Raptors had a great first win of the season the other night in the NBA. The Jays are obviously doing what they're doing. And here's the Leafs, coughing and sputtering and wheezing along to a mediocre start to their season off another loss to New Jersey the other night. in that game. We'll see how they fare here in this one. Craig Berube frustrated with the lack of production from his top line. I've never seen a game with Austin Matthews as invisible as he was against New Jersey. Like, he really did next to nothing in that game. And usually in most games, he does something that you notice. Not at all in the New Jersey game. So we'll see if there's a little bit more pep in the step of the captain of the Leafs here tonight in this game. Again, Craig Berube trying to shake up the top, get Matthews going, find a way to get something from his top line. He looks like he is really going in the blender because Matthews is going to center William Nylander and Bobby McMann. Me and Bobby McMahon. Bobby McMahon's now up on that top line with William Nylander and Matthews. So interesting to see if that trio now works. Nothing else has, so not consistently. So Craig Berube is going to give that a shot now as the top line. Matthew Nyes will now actually get down to the second line with Tavares and Michelli. Easton Cowan back in the lineup after being a healthy scratch with Nick Waugh and Dakota Joshua, and Max Domi on the fourth line with Calle Yarncroke and Steven Lorentz. So that looks to be the forward group tonight. No Morgan Rielly, no Christopher Tanev for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. Two of their more veteran defensemen, both out. Tanev is going to be out, it looks like day-to-day right on injured reserve. So this looks like it could be a little bit more than day-to-day for Chris Tanev, and Morgan Rielly out for this game, undisclosed absence for him. So, a little shake. Now, they do have some options back there. Dakota Mermis and Philippe Myers are going to draw in. These guys have played before with the Leafs at times last year, but you're still going to miss, obviously, Tanev and Rielly on the back end. Buffalo lost, obviously, against Montreal early in the week, but bounced back. Colton Ellis winning his first start in the NHL against Detroit 4-2. They've won 3 straight here at KeyBank Center on home ice. They beat Ottawa 8-4, shut out the defending champion Florida Panthers 3-0, and obviously had the win against Detroit 4-2. So they've suddenly started to win games on home ice. 3 straight home wins for Buffalo coming into this one. Toronto's owned this series recently. 5 straight victories over Buffalo, including 3 straight here in Buffalo that the Leafs have beaten the Sabres. But I don't want much to do with this game. It's a pass for me, honestly. The total's tough. I could see it going either way. Although it is worth noting for the longest time, Leaf-Sabre games were an automatic over bet. But, suddenly the last 2 of the last 3 times they've played in Buffalo, the game has gone under, and 3 of the last 5 meetings have gone under. So be a little bit careful with that. Lyon is going to be a net for the Sabres. He's played more good than bad. And, of course, Anthony Stolarz for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's not much here for me. Pass Sider. I do have some props I like. In fact, there's some props I really like in this game, and I will get to those in a minute. But nothing Sider total. I'd lean Leafs, but the way they're just lethargic play has really not really impressed me and enamored me. I don't feel like I'm in a rush to lay -125 here with Toronto. We'll see. We'll see what happens tonight, because these same 2 teams play tomorrow in Toronto, 5 p.m. Eastern. They moved up that start time because of the baseball at night, so they're going to do like a Leaf-Blue Jay doubleheader tomorrow. Based on what happens tonight in this game, I may get involved Sider total tomorrow with the rematch between the Sabres and Leafs at Scotiabank in Toronto. Matt, what do you think here? Did you get involved? Anything you like? Leafs, Sabres?
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement, and I always tend to shy away from games when 2 teams have back-to-backs against the same team. It's always sort of a weird, if tonight ends up being 6-5, I'd probably look at an under tomorrow. If today's a 2-1 game, I'd probably look at an over tomorrow. It usually alters between one or the other extreme. But yeah, nothing sides or totals here for me. But I am going to ride the hot hand. He's a friend of mine. He was on TNT the other night. He's got 6 points in 7 games. He did bingo on Thursday. Wednesday. Josh Doan. I'm going to take a goal prop and an assist prop. I think the whole situation with him leaving Arizona for Utah. His dad's obviously Phoenix royalty, especially in the hockey world. And then to be in Utah, kind of get his first shot and then get traded in the offseason was sort of a bummer, I'm sure, especially to a team that, on paper is struggling, and it's not a near. There's some teams that you say, oh, in 2 years, they're going to be a cup contender. I don't know if Buffalo is quite there yet. They do have some good pieces, but I think he's getting a lot of opportunities playing on the first power play. He's played first line minutes some nights, so I think it's good for him as an individual in his career. I'm sure he'd love to play for the Stanley Cup this year, but it doesn't look that way in Buffalo. They are trending upward in the sense of they are playing a little better as of late. But I just don't trust them enough to take them in this game or take a total. But just give me a couple of Josh Doan props tonight.
I'm with you. Right there with you as far as Josh Doan props. That was going to be one of the props I mentioned. Not only is he in great form, but guess what? Pop Stone, Shane Doan, that is. Guess who he works for right now? Oh, yeah, the Toronto Maple Leafs. So he's going to be in the building. Dad's going to be in the house to watch Josh Doan, his boy, play. So if any more reason to play well for Josh Doan is not required for tonight, no question. So like I said, it was Shane Doan as an advisor. He's in the management group. He's in the front office right now for Toronto, Shane Doan. So he'll be there in the building. And like I said, another reason to like Josh Doan props. I'm on Bobby McMahon to score. He's on the top line with Matthews and Nylander. This is, I think, the right time to go back to the well with Bobby McMahon for Toronto to score a goal. And I'm going to take a shot. I like these situations sometimes. Talented kid, out of the lineup, healthy scratch, gets to sit and watch for a game, but now he's back in, eager maybe to make an impact. I'm going to give Easton Cowan another shot tonight for Toronto now that he's back in the lineup as well as far as a goal prop tonight in this game. Alex, I know you said pass, but anything you want to add for Leaf Sabres? Muted.
Oh, there we go. We'll have a little piece of that Josh Doan goal. I'm seeing plus 250, plus 260. So that's something we're playing small. I would pay, as far as sides and totals go out past this. Although it's a good point to note, this would normally be a heavy Leafs attended game, maybe with the Jays playing as well. And I'm sure they're not going to make the concession to show the Jays game in Buffalo like they will in Hamilton and everywhere else in Canada. Maybe there aren't as many Leafs fans. Maybe this is a little bit more of a Buffalo side crowd. And of course, then vice versa tomorrow. Of course, when you're in Toronto, like I said, everything's kind of big. Everything big that's going on right now. Maybe there's a little bit of a distraction, a little bit of a just kind of. We talk about how teams can rally off of that, but maybe it's more distraction than anything else. So that's the reason why I'm kind of pacing lightly on this game, and maybe even for tomorrow, it's kind of a reactionary to look at what happens tonight, or it's probably going to be a pass for tomorrow morning.
All right, there we go. Good stuff. So I just want to make Doan, McMahon, and Cowan are the main props for me, goal props in that Toronto. And here's one for Buffalo. He's on the fourth line, but why not sprinkle a couple bucks on it? He scored in back-to-back games. Tyson Kozak, plus 900. Back-to-back games with a goal for Buffalo. Why not? Little shot there. All right. Didn't we just see this game? We did. It was earlier this week, Calgary and Winnipeg. We've got Winnipeg minus 135 home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. I don't know if I have the guts to. Here's the thing. This got so screwed up. This really did. I was hoping, believe it or not, and I hate Calgary. I think they're terrible. I think they're going to have a rough season. They can't score goals. They can't put the puck in the ocean. Dustin Wolf has not been although he's been better lately. You can't blame Dustin Wolf for the Montreal game. I thought he was really good. In fact, the last two games he's played a lot better. But I had this lined up as Calgary coming off yet another loss to Montreal, Winnipeg coming off what I thought was going to be a win last night against Seattle, and take Calgary tonight in a back-to-back against Comrie. I don't know if I want to bet Calgary. That's number one. And it's just as much, I don't know if I want to bet Winnipeg off a loss instead of off a win. And they're off that shutout loss last night to the Seattle Kraken 3-0. Now, they are going to have Eric Comrie in net tonight, not Connor Hellebuck. So does this give Calgary a puncher's chance? Yes. Does this make Winnipeg a little more dubious to win the game? Yes. But Comrie's still capable every now and then. I've also gotten in trouble at times where, wait a minute, Comrie is in net and he actually plays well. And he did play well in the one start he got this year against the Islanders. He faced 35 shots, only gave up 2 goals. Only gave up 2 goals in that game to the New York Islanders, a 5-2 win. So he played well, and he's capable of playing well. There's just a lot more variance and up and down in his game. Consistency-wise with Eric Comrie compared to Connor Hellebuck. So there's no now. I'm not on Cal. I gave them a little because they're not going to go 0-82. They're going to win a game at some point, and they already have won one game, but it's a situation where they're not going to lose every game remaining. It's just this does set up well. They've got the rest advantage. They lost to Winnipeg at home earlier this week. They're facing Comrie, not Hellebuck. There's reasons to like Calgary in this spot at this price. I just don't know if I can do it with Winnipeg off a loss. If Winnipeg's off a win last night, they've shut out Seattle 3-0 instead of getting shut out 3-0. I'm probably taking a shot with Calgary tonight as a plus money underdog with Wolf and Net, who is confirmed tonight for the Flames. But now with Winnipeg off a loss, I've got a little hesitation to do so. I also sprinkle, and I've been a Mr. Calgary team total under and unders in Calgary games, but I did sprinkle a little bit on the over here. I mean, it's 5.5. Calgary is throwing everything at the net. It's just not like 40 shots the other night against Montreal. The puck's just not going in the freaking net. You got to think tonight against a back-to-back Winnipeg team on back-to-backs, if they throw that kind of shot volume, anything close to 40 against Comrie tonight, even though he only gave up 2 goals in his one start against the Islanders, you got to think they're going to score a couple tonight. You got to think. They still have a Huberto and a Kadri and a Matt Coronado. There are still some guys that can put the puck in the net on this Calgary Flames team. Coleman, you go on down the list. I mean, there are people that can score on this team. It's just, but when your only goal, and no disrespect, he plays hard, but when your only goal the other night against Montreal is from Adam Klapka, it's not a good sign necessarily for Calgary. But it's treacherous because this team just cannot buy a goal to save their lives right now, Calgary. So it's treacherous to think this way and bet this, but I'm going to over 5.5 here tonight, minus 115. Thinking that just, if they get that 40 shot volume like they did against Montreal tonight against Comrie, you got to think they could get a couple here tonight. Maybe not. Maybe they're just that offensively challenged. The puck luck is that bad for Calgary right now. But I'll take my chances that for one night, the offense comes to life at least a bit for the Flames, and that Winnipeg, off the shutout loss. So I think offense becomes their, main focus. Like we can't get shut out, at home like that. So offense becomes the focus for Scott Arniel and the Jets tonight. So 5.5, I'm taking my chances with the over. Alex, what do you think here? Flames, Jets.
Yeah, this is a game I'm looking forward to because I got quite a few plays here. I've got 5, and starting with the over by Fecta. Like I said, I don't mind. Like I said, Wolf has played well, but he's still been giving up some soft goals at times. Eric Comrie in net had a good start, but we know how shaky he can be. This is a good price, minus $1.15 pregame for over 1.5, minus 120 for the over 5.5. I jumped in all over that. I do like a Calgary player to score a goal tonight as my bargain bin. But I'm also going draw. I grab plus 330, and I have Gabriel Velarde at 75-1 to score the overtime winner for the Jets.
Yeah, it was 2-1 in Calgary earlier this week, a 2-1 win for the Jets. I will say this, though. The over is still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-2 to the over in the last 7 meetings between Calgary and Winnipeg. It was 5-1 to the over before that 2-1 Jets win earlier this week on Tuesday. So keep that in mind. Actually, it was Monday, that Calgary and Winnipeg game where Winnipeg won 2-1. So, like I said, with the rematch just a few days later, sometimes I buy into that theory too. If it's the same 2 teams in less than a week, first game goes under, the second often goes over, and vice versa. If the first game goes over, the second goes under. I do subscribe to that theory sometimes. We'll see if that holds true to form here tonight. Matt, anything you like? Calgary, Winnipeg.
Yeah, this was going to be an interesting one. Initially Winnipeg at home after a loss like that, I'd lean Winnipeg here. I do think, they're dealing with some stuff up there. The Comrie factor, I do side with you that I think, Calgary chips in here. And it's the NHL. It's the same thing I say about San Jose. Calgary is not a great team. They're not going to, be playing in June, I don't think. But they will win games from time to time. So I'm split decision on sides here, so I'm going to pass on that. But I do like the first period over and full game over. Smaller here. Honestly, these 2 teams, I would typically be passing because I don't bet a lot of unders, but I don't typically feel great about the over. But to your point, Ian, with Calgary shooting the puck the way they are, Comrie and net, Winnipeg's going to want to come out and score a couple early after last night getting shut out. So I just think, it would not be shocking if this game is 2-1 after the first. And with that low 5.5, I think we can get to 6. Even if one team kind of runs away with it, maybe you get an empty net goal to get to that 6 mark. So it'll be light, but I'll be on first period and full game over in this one, especially given that 5.5 price.
Yeah, it's urgency to get the offense going, urgency to win hockey games. It's because look at Calgary's shot volume. For most of the season, it was below 30. The 29 shots, 20 shots, 27 in a lot of their early in the season. They only had one game where they only had 18 shots against Vancouver, 22 against Edmonton, 29, 20, 27. But then you look at the last 2 games, 33 against Winnipeg on Monday, 37 against Montreal. So they're desperate to get this offense going. It's just a question of can they get it going a little bit at least here tonight against a backup goalie in Eric Comrie. All right, there you have it. Great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much on this Friday. Before we get to ads and bargain bin special and best bets, Saturday look ahead with Matty Robb. We gave him this segment to give us a few thoughts, a few early opinions. May not have locked in anything yet, but just a few early leans, a few early opinions for the Saturday board. Matt, what are you eyeing, I should say, for Saturday?
Yeah, obviously a big card. There's a lot of interesting games on it. We mentioned, tonight's game with Toronto and Buffalo could influence some looks there. So I'll definitely be checking out tonight's game, seeing what that looks like. At first glance, there's a couple overs I like. There's a couple, games that I feel decent about sides, but again, it's hard in the NHL because you don't know goalies, there can be pop-up injuries, things like that. So it's usually, tonight will be when I start looking at this. But obviously at first glance, Islanders Flyers, I got in at over 5.5. The Islanders haven't had 6 or less goals in a single game this year. So while I can still get it at 5.5, it was a little juiced. I think it was minus 130.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and I like it at 6. It'll probably jump to 6.5. The only worry for me is I typically am a little more reluctant with those early start times.
Yeah.
So I could see it, being a 1-0 first period and then, getting to 6 or 7 goals by the end of the game. So I'll just be on the over 5.5 there. And then if I was to throw out a bargain bin, I'm not positive. He's usually right on the cusp. There's nights he's there. There's nights he's not. But this, looking at that Dallas Hurricanes game, I do lean over in that game as well. It's 5.5. Dallas can't keep the puck out of the net. Carolina, I think, is tied for second in overall goals at 4. Dallas obviously can score some goals at times. So I saw that over is still at 5.5. I think it'll jump to 6 or even 6.5 by puck drop. So I did jump on that as well at 5.5. But the bargain bin is not coming from Dallas. But there was an interesting stat last night going into overtime with the Dallas Kings game. All 4 goals were players for Dallas at some point in the last 3 years. Corey Perry back before his time in Edmonton. But then, CeCe scored. He was on Dallas's roster through the end of the year last year. And then obviously 2 guys on Dallas had goals. So give me Logan Stankoven anytime goal tomorrow. I don't know for sure, but I think it'll actually be his return to Dallas. He is a guy that, any Stars fan was happy to have Mikko Rantanen come into town and sign an 8-year, extension at a pretty reasonable price, given, some of the contracts we've seen out in Minnesota and things like that. But Stankoven was a beloved Stars player. He works hard. He does all the right things. He's a guy that you root for unless your team is playing against him, maybe in a Stanley Cup final. But tomorrow night, I'd be happy to see him pocket one. I think he'll have a little extra juice. He wasn't really aware that he was getting traded, so it was a bit of a shock to him. So, I think, I think he has a lot of good friends still in Dallas, but I think, any hockey player at that level will have a chip on their shoulder and want to pocket a goal. So that's my bargain bin. It may end up being closer to like plus 290. It just kind of depends on where he falls with the lineup and all the odds and things like that. But there is nights he's a bargain bin player. And I think he scores one tomorrow in Big D.
Yeah, I've noticed it, Jonathan. We got to park it for now. Remember our great, beautiful shutout off a shutout loss system last year? Look at those numbers the next game off a shutout loss. 6 unders, no overs in the first period. 5 unders, 1 over in the full game. It's just not yet anyway. Maybe at some point we revisit it, but not right now. So there you go. With that, that's why we haven't been mentioning it nearly as much. I've noticed it's gone just dead, ice cold right now with that. It was great last year, but like I said, hasn't maintained that same level of success this year. Betting overs first period and full game for a team after a shutout loss. Great stuff. WizardSportsPicks.com. We're all there, all 3 of us. So make sure you check that out. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, Matt Robinson, a ton of great handicappers. It's been a tremendous week for yours truly there. 9-2 all sports run. NFL, college football has been humming. NBA's just we're scorching the net in the NBA early in the season. Hockey now after a slow start's been coming around. So great to see that. Find everybody there, myself, Alex B. Smith, Matt Robinson, all the great handicappers at WizardSportsPicks.com. And like I said, eventually we're going to have the long-term subscriptions available. Right now it's single-game premium picks and 3-game, 5-game pick packages, combo packs available on the website, plus daily free plays. Make sure you check it out, wizardsportspicks.com. And the Patreon page, of course, patreon.com/Ice Guys, $10 per month. The response has been great. Daily card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. Goalie charts, totals charts. We've got obviously all the bonus content. Our first exclusive betcast for Patreon members only on the page will be in November. So get signed up before November, before that first exclusive live betcast comes your way next month. So check all that out and more. And of course, again, your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it rolling long term. And look at the results of the card last night that we posted. I mean, I'm telling you, you would have made a hell of a lot more than $10 that you spend per month for the Patreon subscription, based on if you tailed a lot of those bets on the card posted on the page last night. So make sure you check it out. Sign up. $10 per month. Patreon.com/Ice Guys.
Yeah, we have 258 paid members. We have 6,530 something subscribers on YouTube. We'd love to see those numbers bounce up. They've been bouncing up, and we appreciate it. But let's keep that momentum rolling. It's like the season. Keep things rolling forward in a positive way. So we definitely have appreciated everybody who has signed up and continue to enjoy the content. But also check out the Ice Guys store as well, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. You got 3 days left where you can save 25% off of orders that are $70 or more. So it's a good time to get yourself a hoodie, get yourself a cap, get yourself we got bandanas for yourself, bandanas for your dog. We got baby merch. We've got everything there. So check it out. 25% off orders, $70 or more for the next 3 days. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Check it out. Get out to that Ice Guys store. Get yourself some great gear and merch. All right, bargain bin special tonight and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Kings and Queens shop.
All right. Thanks to all our sponsors, including our brand new smoke sponsor, Royal Cannabis at royalcannabisshop.com. 20% off with promo code IceGuys. All right. Bargain bin special of the night. We couldn't keep our consecutive game night streak going with the bargain bin special, but we'll try to start a new one tonight. Alex, bargain bin special.
Yeah, let's go to that Calgary-Winnipeg game. And like I said, I like Calgary to get on the board. I like goals in this contest. That's why I like the over by factor. But we're going to go with particularly Michael Backlund to get a goal. You get him plus 475 is the best price I found at DraftKings earlier. So anything in that 450, 460, 470 range, we'll go with Michael Backlund to get an anytime goal for the Calgary Flames tonight. It's my bargain bin special for this Friday.
All right, Michael Backlund, captain of the Calgary Flames, to get them going here when they need him most to get this offense going. Michael Backlund, you can get as good as plus 490 with him to find the back of the net here tonight. Matt Robinson, what do you got for us? Bargain bin special.
Yeah, so I know I haven't been on for a couple, like 3 shows that I typically would be on. So I actually have 2 tonight, despite the small card. Go with a couple guys that have had success, or I've had success with on the bargain bin in the past. One of them, everyone knows who it is. He's rocking the 4th line right now. He just got back last game. But Stefan Nason, anytime goal, plus 333. We'll see if it continues into this season. Or just taking a flyer. I know he's not playing a ton of minutes right now, but he does get power play time there with New Jersey. And so, why not open up the scoring for him tonight? On this beautiful Friday night. And then the other one is going to be in that Winnipeg-Calgary game. Another Plano, Texas native that can score goals and has scored goals this season. That Calgary offense hasn't been great, but he's a guy that on any given night can pocket one. I know he helped him get to overtime against Edmonton on opening night. Blake Coleman, plus 400. He gets a lot of opportunities on the ice. He kills some penalties. He's out there on the peeper sometimes. So look for Coleman to pocket one tonight in Winnipeg against Eric Comrie.
There you go. Blake Coleman there for the Calgary Flames, and Stefan Nason for the New Jersey Devils.
Would you say it's a Texas two-step?
It is. Yep.
Texas
absolutely
two-step,
it is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. All right, for me, bargain bin special, I will go with 2 as well, even though it's only 4 games. Let me see. There's a lot of good choices here. Bobby McMahon, Toronto, plus 320. I will go with that as 1. What else here? Ryan Leonard, Washington. He's really looked good like the last couple games, plus 400 for him. So there we go. Those are going to be my 2. Bobby McMahon for Toronto, plus 320. Ryan Leonard, Washington, plus 400. And Ryan Leonard scored in back-to-back games for the Capitals. So there you go. 2 bargain bin specials here for this Friday night. I almost went with Gaudette. Gaudette scored in back-to-back games, plus 700. Not going to go with that, but worth a bet at plus 700. All right, best bets. Alex, what do you got for best bet?
Yeah, let's go with that San Jose first goal in first period, plus 220. That's a great price. Like I said, momentum can carry over from getting that first win. And if it does, it usually shows up early. So let's look for San Jose to get on the board first again tonight against New Jersey, plus 220. First goal in the first period. That's my best bet for tonight.
San Jose, first goal, first period for Alex with his best bet. Matt, what do you got for best bet?
Yeah, I hope Alex's best bet hits in the first 30 seconds of the game, because I got the first period over in that San Jose, New Jersey game. I mentioned it earlier. I do agree. I think San Jose, feels a little sigh of relief. They got the win, maybe a little confidence, and they've got so much young talent. I could see them scoring one early, but New Jersey is a great team on the other end. And, San Jose has had some struggles keeping the puck out of the net. So like I mentioned, I could see this one being 2-1, 2-2 after the first. So give me the first period over in San Jose, New Jersey. That'll be my best bet for tonight.
There we go. How about that? All 3 best bets, the same game. We got a San Jose goal in the first period, first goal, first period. We've got first period over, and we got full game over, which is mine. Over 6 minus 122. There are still some 6s, Bet Rivers among others. San Jose, New Jersey, over 6 minus 122 for my best bet here for this Friday card. All right, that's a great show. Great stuff. We're back tomorrow. It's a huge slate tomorrow, 13 games. Excited to break it down, noon Eastern tomorrow. Good to be doing that. And, of course, again, shows Saturday, Sunday. No show Monday. We're off Monday. We're back Tuesday for a double dip, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 30 minutes earlier with the Daily Show, and then the live betcast, Frozen Frenzy style, 6 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday night. Looking forward to that. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live Monday to Friday and Saturday, Sunday at noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast, and it's on all major platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and Matt Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck, and we are back tomorrow on Saturday, noon Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.